Hello and welcome to the Stay Strong Live Long channel. I'm your host Rod. We're on our weekly live stream that did I just say live stream? Live stream that's on every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. or at least it is for here in Sydney, Australia, where I am. If you're in other parts of the world, in the States, it's sometime in the afternoon. I know you've just had your daylight saving jump back, so you are getting into your fall, so your clocks fall back a little bit earlier for you now. I will say a quick shout out to our friends in Alaska. Our moderator Melissa from Copper's Kitchen. Oh, actually, this doesn't really sort of do it justice, this particular photo, but she showed me a photo of her backyard, which is like this deep in snow at the moment. Got a lot of storms happening there, so good luck to everyone there. Hopefully that doesn't get any worse. And I believe if you are in, let me see, in California, then you'll also be getting some pretty big storms as well. I'll just switch to that one. Let's see, I'll share this tab. So yeah, anyone who's in that part of the country, good luck. I know there's a big storm coming if it hasn't already come, and hopefully nobody has too much damage to their house or anything like that. So if you are just tuning in, well, of course you're just tuning because we just started, then let me know where you're from. I always like to give people a shout out. It's interesting that we can do this and we're all in different parts of the world. I'll give you a shout out a bit later on. Now, just for those of you who are new to the channel, what I generally talk about in these live streams is just about health in general, especially as it pertains to eating the carnivore way. I like to talk about exercise, health, mindset, other things. So that's what we're here for. There's a lot of people who are way more experienced with eating the carnivore way than I am in the community, so feel free to ask questions and we'll get some answers out. Now today, this is what I'm actually going to focus on. There's these, what I call the 4 pillars of health. Now I didn't invent this, thanks to Kelly Hogan from, is it My Zero Carb Life? She actually talked about this on one of her very recent videos. I thought that is brilliant. That really just encapsulates everything as far as health goes for me. So I'm going to cover a bit of that. I haven't talked about sleep before, so I won't spend a lot of time on that. But what I like about this is that each one of these feeds into the other. So if we take stress, for example, so in the context of wanting to have peak health, right, which is what I'm interested in, and I know a lot of you are interested in that as well. So if you have a lot of stress in your life, it's really hard to then stick to eating what you know is the best way. It's hard to get good sleep. It can be difficult to motivate yourself to move and get some exercise. And yeah, so it's interesting how, like, if you can manage stress, you can actually manage a whole lot of those things better. So, you know, what are some of the ways that you can manage stress? Well, I think number one is just noticing when you've got stressful things occurring in your life and seeing if you can do something about removing them or remediating them in some way. So, for example, I was pretty stressed for a while there when I lost one of my clients a while ago. And thankfully, I was able to resolve that, and I actually have some full-time work now, so that's removed a big stressor in my life. But sometimes if you can't really do much about stress, then there's other things here. So this one here on the bottom, movement, that's the critical one, I think, for, well, actually nutrition as well. So if we think about movement, rather than calling it exercise, I like the word movement, because if you're not really into going to the gym, you might feel like, well, I'm not getting in exercise. But if you're outdoors gardening, if you are having to, if you're able to walk places instead of getting in your car, just anything that gets you moving, I think that helps you manage your stress levels a lot. So if you're not doing any movement at the moment, I can't say enough about encouraging you to make movement a regular part of your life. And when I say regular, I mean a daily thing. Now, I don't mean going to the gym and doing a hard workout for an hour or two every day. I just mean some sort of movement every day and try to make it a regular part of your routine. So, you know, maybe that's going for a walk in midday. Maybe it is actually going to the gym a couple of days a week. I was reminded of this recently when I visited my previous partner's parents, and there's an elderly gentleman who I used to know, or he used to, we used to do bike rides a lot. This is about 10 years ago, and he's in his 70s now. And there's a thing called sarcopenia. Now, I think it's called sarcopenia. It's where you lose muscle mass and muscle density as you get older. Now, some people think that's just a given that that's going to occur. That's absolutely not true. I interviewed a carnivore Ron, who I'll be publishing his interview this week. He's 72, I think it's 72, yeah, 73, and he's been adding on muscle mass to his frame since he started going to the gym 5 years ago. So just because you're getting old doesn't mean you have to live with, I'm pretty sure the right word is sarcopenia. Somebody correct me if I've got that wrong. And I just noticed how he was so much frailer. So he number one, I think his diet's impacted him not having enough protein, but then just not getting enough movement. So he's had to relocate from his home to a nursing home. He's not able to, he used to have an exercise bike and other things that he could do to, keep on training his muscles, and he doesn't have any of that available. And I was just looking around in that nursing home, and it's not a life that I envisage, and I don't envisage it for anyone. A lot of people are just sort of sitting there staring off into space, and there's that the sort of culture in that particular nursing home. To me, I feel like it should be way more focused on making sure that the residents have proper nutrition and they get really good exercise. But I feel like a lot of it is just geared towards just managing and making sure that they're comfortable, which I get, but I don't think that's really helping those people in the long run. And yeah, I just think that it was a reminder to me that you've really got to move your body. You've got to keep moving your body no matter how old you are, no matter what condition you are in at the moment. If, let's say, if you're in if you have some sort of severe health condition, or you're morbidly obese or something like that, and you're not moving at all, then just start small, start doing something, because you really don't want to get to the point where you're much older, where it's like an impossible thing to actually get some regular movement into your life, because, man, our bodies are designed to move. We have to move them, and if we don't, we will lose muscle mass. We lose the ability to use our bodies well. And that's just not something that I want for anybody. So I really want to stress the whole movement thing. And whatever kind of movement works for you, whether it's playing sport, going for a walk, walking the dog, going to the gym, gardening, whatever it is, just keep doing it, and keep doing it regularly. So we'll just do a couple of shout outs here. D. Lee, thanks for joining us on the channel today. Appreciate you dropping in. I am Jazzy Jude from San Diego, Southern California. Are you having any of the storms heading your way there, Jazzy Jude? Thanks for tuning in. I don't remember hearing you on the channel before. Limitless Lindy from Melbourne. Thanks for tuning in. Nice and early in the day for you. Near Chicago. Yeah, thank you for that, D. Lee. And Melissa from Copper's Kitchen, you mentioned that ring you wear that tracks your sleep, I believe. Can you give a little more information on what else it does, please, and thanks. All right, let's do that. So this is the, let me see if I can get this in front of the camera. There we go. That's the Oura ring. I'll take it off for you, which is a little bit tricky. Now you may be able to see. Actually, I need to put my hand behind it. Oh, I just about got in focus then. Let's see if we can get in focus. Not quite. Oh, there we go. So you can see there are sensors on the inside of that ring, right? You see all the sensors? So these sensors measure lots of different things. So they measure heart rate, they measure temperature, they measure heart rate variability, which is something I'll talk about in a sec. They measure respiration rate, but more than anything, what the Oura ring is famous for is it's assessing your sleep. So it uses these different algorithms to track your sleep. So at the end of each day, I can't show you because the app it has an app that goes with it. It's on my phone. So when I get up in the morning, I can see what my sleep was like the day before. So I can see how much deep sleep I had, how much REM sleep I had, how much light sleep I had, how much I moved, how much time I was awake for, and then it gives you a sleep score out of 100, and then it also has another thing called a readiness score, which is like a combination of how much movement you've had, how well you've been sleeping recently, etc. Anyway, I find it's a very, very useful tool for seeing, well, firstly knowing how much sleep I've had and what the quality of my sleep has been like. So I usually aim for like at least 7 hours of actual sleep. So I'm 52, going on 53. So I know that I'm probably going to have around about an hour in total of awake time doing. Now, I may not realize I was awake for that long, but that's just time where it's got these very sophisticated algorithms that work with the Ring's data to say, okay, you were awake for this long, you were in light sleep for this long, deep sleep, REM sleep, etc. And I can see all the things that affect my sleep. So number one, that I know if I eat late, like if I eat at say, if I'm still eating at 7:30, then I know that's going to impact my sleep because I like to go to sleep by about 9 o'clock. And if I have a 3-hour window between when I finish eating and when I go to sleep, I know I'm definitely going to get a better amount of deep sleep, more deep sleep, because while you're digesting food, your body temperature is raised, your body's doing other things, and your brain actually needs to be able to, your body temperature needs to be able to get low enough so that your brain can get into deep sleep. So that's one thing. Another thing that impacts sleep absolutely is alcohol consumption for me, and I think everybody knows this. Even if you just have 1 or 2 glasses of something to drink, 1 or 2 glasses of wine or a couple of beers or whatever, that has an impact on your sleep. And generally what happens is people often will drink to help them go to sleep, but then what happens is there's this kind of like a springboard effect that then your cortisol and adrenaline levels, they raise again a few hours later, and it causes you to wake up, and then it's very difficult to go back to sleep again. And I've noticed that, so I'm like an every now and again drinker, and it's generally on the weekends when my wife and I are together. We usually will have a couple of drinks, and I just noticed this morning, well actually yesterday morning, it's funny how once you start to control a lot of variables in your life, like especially with your diet, and you start feeling a lot better, you then notice the things that make you feel not so great more acutely. And there's a definite correlation between, even if I have just a couple of drinks, definitely if I have like 3 on an evening, even if it's not like late in the evening, and the quality of my sleep. So as of yesterday, I'm taking 3 months completely off of alcohol, and I was somewhat inspired by Nia from Nia's Way channel, and she was talking about how she'd quit drinking 3 months ago, and hasn't actually had anything since then. So anyone else that wants to join me, put 3 months quit drinking in the comments, because it's not something I've wanted to do before because I didn't feel like it was a problem for me. And I guess I'm not doing it so much a problem. I'm just interested to see how much better will I feel, how much better will my sleep be by just not having any alcohol at all. Now, it's going to be a little tricky around Christmas time, and perhaps that might be the one exception where I'll have a couple of drinks on Christmas Day. But other than that, my plan is just to go completely 3 months, 0 alcohol at all, and yeah, see how much that improves my sleep. So what else have we got? Nutrition. So nutrition and food. So which is a lot of the reason why, I have this channel, is to talk about eating the carnivore way. But to me, it's more about, if you can eliminate processed foods from your diet, that's a big step in the right direction. I think a lot of the improvement that people experience when they start eating the carnivore way comes from the fact that they're removing a lot of processed food. So a lot of food that are really high in carbohydrates, really high in sugars, really high in a lot of different additives, preservatives, etc., that our bodies are not designed to process. So nutrition is a big part of that. Now, and then what I personally have discovered is that when I first started eating the carnivore way, so I eliminated veggies, eliminated fruits. Veggies definitely cause bloating, gas, inflammation, etc. for me. So I've kicked veggies for good at this stage, and I can tolerate a bit of fruit. So sometimes I'll have like banana ice cream with the kids. I make banana ice cream for them, which is just made out of frozen bananas, and the occasional piece of fruit. But that's as far as it goes for fruits and veggies to me, and I notice there's a lot less inflammation. Now, talking about inflammation, that's the other thing I've found about I've realized with alcohol consumption is that if you are, better just turn that off. There's definitely, I feel puffy even after a couple of drinks. So I'm interested to see how that impacts inflammation. In my family, we all have baggy eyes. Even I've had this condition since forever, but I noticed that it gets noticeably different after even just a couple of drinks. So I'm interested in seeing whether that inflammation gets reduced. There was a book that somebody mentioned on one of my comments. I don't know if they are here today, but there was a book about alcohol, which I'm interested to read. And I think it's probably about, it's obviously about the health impacts of alcohol consumption. So, I'm just going to see how that goes for a while. So what have I covered? I've talked briefly about stress. Sleep is obviously very important. So if you are not getting enough sleep, what I will say is, if you decide to skip any one of these, then it's kind of like you're only running at 3/4 speed. So I think that if you really are interested in improving your health and having great health, you can't afford to skip any of those. So you can't afford to shortchange yourself with your sleep, because if you shortchange yourself with your sleep, your body's going to be more stressed, your brain's going to be more stressed. So there you go. Now you've shortchanged yourself on something else as well. If you shortchange yourself on movement and exercise is a great way to really has an impact on reducing stress, and there's so many studies that have been done that way. It's automatic insurance against poor metabolic health. There's a whole lot of things that movement will do for you. And then obviously, if you shortchange yourself on nutrition, well, then you decrease your body's ability to deal with stress. You have more inflammation. You can't sleep as well. You're probably not going to be able to move as well, because you're not feeding your body the nutrients that it needs so that you can move. So you see how they all go together. You've got to do them all. And if you miss out on any one of those things, then it has an impact on each of those other factors as well. So, good evening from Germany, Sandra Johnson. Good evening to you. Thank you for tuning in. It's pretty late over there for you in Europe. Cat Diamond also tuning in from Northern California. Now, where are these storms in California? I'm just going to add this back in. This is in, let's see. So you've got the storms that are crippling Anchorage. And is this the one to do with... it's going to park so that same storm is now going to park itself off the California coast and bring unsettled weather. There you go. And Shelby Webb, hello. Thanks for tuning in from Knoxville, Tennessee. So, what questions have you got, guys? Let's talk about how's your week been? What are you finding is a problem for you as far as, if you're eating the carnivore way, as far as sticking to the plan goes? Is there anything else that you are struggling with? Have you come across something that's a really great idea? I just want to mention this actually. So where are we? Talking about sleep. So do any of you take supplements to help you with your sleep? Now, historically, I have not done that, but I've just started taking this one. Oh, let me just hold it up to the camera. If the camera works, that one there. All right, so full disclosure, Renew Bioscience, I work for Renew Bioscience, and, oh, God, I've got to turn these alarms off. And they actually sent me this sample for free, so I'm just trying this out. I don't have any opinion one way or the other about this at the moment, but it contains, let's see, it contains GABA, which is gamma aminobutyric acid. It contains 5-HTP, which I've known about before, which is a precursor to serotonin. It's a serotonin precursor. So your body makes serotonin from 5-HTP. It contains apigenin and glutathione and melatonin. So, but the thing I like about it is it's all in a liposomal formula. So it's encapsulated in liposomes, so it can be absorbed into your small intestine rather than being destroyed by stomach acid, which a lot of supplements are. So I'm not going to have a link or anything. I don't want anybody to think I'm wanting to sell those products. This is one that I'm trying out, and I'm going to see how that goes. And if I get some good results from that, well, I'll let you guys know about that in the future. But I'm interested to see whether anybody is actually trying any other supplements. In the past, I've tried melatonin in particular to see if it helps, but now I never noticed any difference. But I do wonder now whether, you know, with any supplements that you take, whether there's how much of it actually makes it into your getting absorbed into your system. And maybe something like this liposomal formulation, which there's a lot of science now around that, shows that supplements that are encapsulated in liposomes are actually absorbed a lot better. I'm interested to see whether that actually makes much of a difference. Let's see, Cat Diamond, you're not on the coast, so it probably won't rain here. Lucky for you. D-Lee, doesn't take any supplements for sleep. And what else has Cat got to say? Haven't needed sleep supplements, but I do wake at around 4:30 or 5 every day now. Yeah, what time do you normally go to sleep? Like, how much sleep do you normally get? So I'm normally asleep by, well, last night it was like 8:30, at least by 9, and then I'm generally sort of around, like you, 5-ish, maybe 5:30. D. Lee, unfortunately, I am dealing with a lot of stress. Yeah, you know, it's one of those things. I think stress kills us faster than anything else. It leads to an early, a less than optimal lifespan if you have a lot of stress in your life. So, and I think some people might think, well, stress is just part of everyday life, and yes, it is. But I think that if we can pay attention to managing and decreasing the amount of stress that we have, that's much more useful. That's the other thing I forgot to mention about the Oura Ring, is that it measures this what's called HRV, which is heart rate variability. Now, you can Google this yourself, but there's lots of studies that have been done on heart rate variability, and it's a very strong indicator of how stressed your body is. So basically, our nervous system, there's two sides to it. There's the parasympathetic nervous system, and there's the sympathetic nervous system, I think. They're the two. So basically, the more stressed that you are, so the more cortisol and adrenaline, those stress hormones that are running around your body, then the more even your heartbeats are. So there is the gap between each of your heartbeats, which is measured in milliseconds, is generally going to be the same and often much lower. So let's say you haven't had much sleep, you're really stressed at work, or you've got something going on which is you're very concerned or worried about. Your heart rate variability might, if it was tracked over, say, a couple of hours, might only be 10 to 15 milliseconds. That's an indicator that you're very stressed. Whereas if you're not very stressed, then your heart rate variability, especially when you're sleeping at night, you'll see it'll like zigzag around. So it'll be 20 milliseconds, then it'll be 10, and then it'll be 85, and then it'll be 45, and then it'll be 30, and it'll zig but zag a lot, but the average will be higher. So the average might be, say, 45, 50 milliseconds, but you'll see it zigzagging around a lot. And that's an indication that you're well recovered, and you're under much less stress. So if you do exercise a lot and you overtrain, you'll find that your HRV will gradually flatten out, and that's an indicator that you're not allowing enough time for your body to recover, or you might not be getting enough sleep or anything like that. So HRV, if you've got some sort of device that can measure HRV, I think that's a really, really great way to see how stressed you are and how stressed your body is. And one interesting thing that I noticed when I switched from just sort of eating pretty standard keto, I was still fairly high in carbohydrates. When I removed a lot of carbohydrates, so I have very few now, I noticed that, and when I switched to carnivore, I noticed that my HRV went down a lot. And I'd say it was I lost about a third, which I find interesting. I don't really have an answer for that yet. It seems like there's a bit more stress. The body is not able to cope as good with stress when I have fewer carbohydrates in my system. And it did improve a little bit over time, but when I checked back, when I used to eat a lot more carbohydrates, that my HRV was definitely a lot higher. So yeah, I'm curious about that. I don't know whether that is something else that anybody else noticed who has a device that measures HRV. But it is something that I noticed. And I know Paul Saladino, who has, written a lot about eating the carnivore way. Some of you probably know who he is. I know that was something that he actually deliberately introduced fruit back into his diet to do with management of stress. And I think, different people, just different strokes for different folks. But yeah, I'm interested to see. I'm not sort of going, okay, well, I have to have carbs, because I removed carbs because it was a way for me to manage my weight better. And it works better for me to be in ketosis, and I actually find my brain functions a whole lot better. But it was something that I noticed was that HRV actually did go down a little bit afterwards. So, D. Lee, I see a lot of people say that they take a certain type of magnesium to help them sleep. Yes, actually, that is something I forgot. Where's mine? Yeah, I have been taking magnesium at night for a long time, and it definitely does help. I notice there's a difference between taking magnesium not. Now, there's been a lot of studies done with magnesium in different populations. So both magnesium and zinc have been studied well, and I think if you are having those two like an hour to half an hour before sleep, actually does improve your sleep. And the way it improves it is there is fewer wake ups, and then when you do wake up, you can go to sleep faster. That's what the studies that I've read show. Sandra Johnson, sometimes take melatonin and CBD. I guess that means CBD oil. Craig Smith, washing dishes can reduce stress. Yes, you're actually right. You're big into washing dishes. You enjoy those, don't you, Craig? I remember some of your comments on some of my videos. So Shelby Webb, had rotator cuff surgery, having physical therapy now. No lifting weights right now. Gained a few pounds from being in a sling for 7 weeks. Do elliptical 30 minutes a day. Will that help me lose weight? Well, it might. It just depends on what it's not exactly calories in, calories out, but I would say, it's managing your weight is a combination of things. So obviously getting some movement. So if you're doing the elliptical bike 30 minutes a day, that's great. That's a great way to start. But if your calorie intake is far exceeding what your output is, then obviously that's not going to help you lose weight. So I think if you're actually wanting to lose weight, then definitely going at least, like dropping your carbs, going at least keto or carnivore or even ketovore is going to help you immensely in that endeavor. So if you are, following either a keto way of eating or carnivore, then I think you're on the right track. Adding in some movement, and just make sure you get enough sleep as well. Manage stress, get enough sleep. There was a study I read, it was a few months ago. It showed how those who average an additional hour of sleep each night actually burn an additional 200 odd calories while they're sleeping. Your brain is actually a very large consumer of energy, and while you're sleeping, it seems odd, doesn't it? You're not actually moving or anything, but you're actually using a lot more energy because of what's going on with your brain, and also body repair, repairing muscle tissue, repairing bones, etc. That all happens while you're sleeping, and it's a high consumer of calories. So make sure that you are doing that, and hopefully that answer helps you there, Shelby. All right, so I'll do a quick channel update. I'll just go back to my channel. Now, a lot of you have seen the last video or the last interview that I did with, I'll just bring up Emily from, actually I forget the name of Emily Chat. Well, it's actually just got her channel. Here we go, Emily here. So that has been one of the most popular videos I've ever done. So we talked to Emily's a personal trainer, and it was actually her first video. She was extremely nervous, but she did do really well. I just don't know, there's a lot more people watched that video than most of the others that I published in recent history, and she had some really great advice. So she was someone that wasn't wanting to lose weight or anything, but she had a whole lot of issues with IBS, and a lot of just food caused her pain a lot of the time, and switching to the carnivore way helped her a lot with that. So if you haven't seen that interview, you should definitely check it out. It was really interesting, and it's obviously resonated with a lot of people. Most of the people that have watched it have been people that haven't already subscribed to the channel. So that's one to have a look at. Coming up, I did an interview with Carnivore Ron. Some of you might know who he is. He's 72, going on 73, I think. He started eating the carnivore way, I think it was at least 5 years ago. Pretty dramatic transformation as far as his physique goes. He started going to the gym. He's a really interesting guy, and just goes to show how much you can improve your health even in your later years. Now, I know, before anyone mentions it, there was no Dishwashing Philosopher last week. I apologise for that. There will be one this week. I actually just started working full-time last week, so suddenly I find myself with a lot less freedom to do other things, including this channel. But it's just a matter of rejigging my schedule, and he'll be back on Wednesday or Thursday for those of you who are in the United States. All right, so let's see what else I had on my agenda today. I'm just going to have a quick look in there. I get all the comments that I should know about get starred. So if you have a question for me, just dump that into the chat, and we'll see if we can get those answered. Now, if you're just tuned in, then also just throw a comment in and let us know where you're from. I'm always interested in knowing which parts of the world people are from. And Melissa, yeah, that was that's a good point. Remember that your body's in healing mode as well, so that might put you in a bit of a stall, but do not stress about it. Yeah, sometimes it feels like you've got all the variables lined up. So if you don't control any variable, you're getting the same amount of sleep, exercise, you're eating the same food, and then if your goal is to lose weight, to lose body fat, then you find suddenly things stop. That doesn't mean that you have to change anything. It can often mean that there's some healing going on, and just keep doing what you know has been working for you in the past. This is something that came up when I had an interview with Anita from Ketogenic Woman, and she was talking about how there's been like periods of time, like she's lost some immense amount of weight, like 140 pounds, I think it was. And she still has a bit more to go, but she knows that sometimes she would like plateau for 6 months or so, and then things would kick off again and restart. And it wasn't really anything to do with what she was eating. It was just the fact that your body does go through different phases. And I think especially if you're reducing inflammation, that allows healing to occur. And then there'll be periods of time where, your body says, okay, well, we're not in weight loss mode at the moment. We're in healing mode at the moment. So let's get that healed. And then after that, your body can start using up some of the excess body fat that you've got as well. D. Lee, appreciate that. Thanks for saying that. There's a lot of different schools of thought and advice about how to eat, how to exercise, etc. But I think it really all comes down to the basics. If you can eliminate processed foods from your diet, if you can do that, and you are someone who eats completely vegan and that works for you, well, do that. I think the critical thing is eliminating the processed foods from your diet. Now, for me personally, I find eating a very heavily meat-based diet, that's why I talk about the carnivore way of eating, works really well for me. I feel the best in my, as far as my gut health goes. I sleep a lot better. I have a lot more energy. I can concentrate and focus a lot better. It just, the whole lot about it that works a whole lot better for me. And that's true for a lot of people. And I've been able to heal a lot of health conditions. So I used to have pretty bad sciatica. So I've completely healed that. In fact, I was doing some sprinting on the weekend with my 4 and 5-year-old, and I had absolutely no issues, and I would not have been able to. I wouldn't have even been able to do a slow jog 6 months ago. So that's one thing it's really helped me. And you've just got to try these things out and see what actually works for you. But if you can eliminate processed food, stay away from the center aisle in your supermarket and just shop in the outside aisle. So, fresh produce, meat, eggs, dairy. I think you're going to go a long way to improving your health if you stick with it for a period of time. Dealey, remember to hit the thumbs up. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Yeah, look, if you like what I do here, you like the content, sure, hit the thumbs up. and click on the subscribe button. I think we are only 3 subscribers short of 3,000, which is pretty exciting, considering that the channel started in August. I'm absolutely super stoked with the support that everybody has shown. So, there we go. Annabella, the Happy Carnivore. Hello, thanks for tuning in today. Hope you're feeling well today. How's the new doctor and the new doctor's visits going? I'd like to know. Yes, you've changed your handle name there, just so in case you were checking to see if I could remember where you Annabella. I think there's 2 Annabellas on the channel, but sometimes I wonder whether it actually just might be the one, and it's because you change your handle sometimes, maybe just to keep me on my toes. But thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you being here. Just wake up. Had a big sleep in, hey? I think you're in Brisbane, aren't you? So it's 8:30. Yeah, that's still a pretty decent sleep in. All right. What else did I want to cover today? I don't really actually have anything else on my agenda. So just to recap, for anybody who didn't tune in from the beginning or has skipped ahead, I'm going on a 3-month 0 alcohol challenge as of yesterday. So I'm on day 2. And it's not something I've ever done before. Not something I actually really wanted to do. I did consume very, very little alcohol throughout my 20s and 30s. It wasn't until I got into my 40s where, with social occasions and whatnot, people, especially in Australia, there's a big drinking culture here, and it's the way that people often, it's part of socializing, it's part of being with friends, it's part of everything, really. And, I've never been a binge drinker, but I've just, as I said, I noticed how when you start improving other things in your life, like you're eating better, you're sleeping better, you're reducing stress, you notice how much better that you feel. And then when you add in something else that then makes you feel a little bit not so great, it's easier to notice. And I've just noticed that with alcohol consumption, there's, even just if it's a couple of drinks, 2 or 3 drinks, there's definitely a reduction in how good I feel. There's an increase in inflammation. There's a decrease in how good my sleep is. And like going to the gym today, I went to, it was legs day, trained with my son, and we did squats and whatever. I just felt ordinary. That was, I thought, I'm just interested to see how well this works. So 90-day challenge as of yesterday. If anyone else wants to join me, let me know in the comments, and we'll find some way to maybe keep track. Maybe I can just talk about where I'm up to each time I do the live stream, and those who also want to join in could say, okay, well, I'm on day whatever as well. Just, something fun, something interesting to do, and something to see how much it actually improves their health one way or the other. I did do something similar with coffee, but it only lasted 3 or 4 days. I eliminated coffee because I thought, I reckon I could get better sleep, but I didn't find that it improved. And in fact, I'd say it was a little bit worse. Maybe I needed to do it for much longer, but I'm keeping the coffee in now, but I'm happy to remove the alcohol and just see how that actually goes as far as improving other parts of my health. Who else have we had tuning in? Just drop me in a comment here. All right, still not well. They found a cyst in my thigh. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Annabella. Well, hopefully that is nothing serious, and that's something that can be rectified. I'll be thinking about you on that one. Ron's Keto Cafe, welcome. I don't believe I've seen you on the channel before. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate your support there. You thought Annabella the Happy Carnivore was a mouthful. I thought it was pretty cool. Just saying. I thought it was pretty good. You're seeing your doctor tomorrow for blood test results. Still going strong on carnivore. Good for you. All right, well, hopefully that goes well for you. I don't know if any of you tune in to Bill Knott's channel. I know Bill, I don't know if Bill does watch this on the replay. He went for a MRI because of some lump in his shoulder, and hopefully the results are good for that. So be thinking about you there, Bill, as I'm sure many people are. Have I been drinking a lot on carnivore? No, not really. So like usually on the weekend we have a couple of drinks on Saturday, a couple of drinks on Sunday. That's the extent. The other thing is that I'm more inclined to go off plan as far as eating goes if I have had something to drink as well. That's the other thing I didn't really like. So it's just like it reduces your willpower. I don't normally require any sort of willpower to stay on plan, so I don't, I don't do sweets at all now. I just don't do anything sugary at all now, or highly processed carbohydrates at all. But I'm more inclined to like, for example, I'll down a couple of cups of milk because I really crave milk for some reason, and I know that's I prefer not to consume a lot of carbohydrates. It's not a big deal, but I've just noticed how my willpower is a lot reduced with drinking alcohol. So I'm just interested to see. And up until this point, I haven't been inclined to go, okay, well, it's just not, I'm happy to keep that in my life. But now I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to want to eliminate that for 90 days and just see how it goes. And maybe I'll introduce it after that. I don't know. I'm just doing an experiment. Ron's Keto Cafe, I would have to do another challenge. I've never had hard liquor. Okay. When you say hard liquor, now in Australia, we think of hard liquor as like anything spirits. So, gin, vodka, that sort of thing. Any like beer, wine, we don't call that hard liquor. So I don't know whether you're referring to just any kind of alcoholic drinks at all. Yeah, good luck, Annabella. Hope that goes well. Ron's Keto Cafe came over from Anita from the Ketogenic Woman. Great. Yeah, we've had a lot of people saw our interview that we did together, and then I actually interviewed Anita on this channel too. I don't know if you've seen that, Ron, but that's one to have a look at. And it's a lot of backstory about Anita and how she sort of her health journey. I thought it was fascinating. It was a really interesting talk. So definitely one to check out if you haven't already seen it. All right, what else? Ron's Keto Cafe, beer or wine, I don't drink either. All right, yeah, easy. So you would have it. So what else have you, is there anything else that you know that isn't actually improving your health that you think it would be interesting to see if I eliminate that, to see if my health would be better? That's what I would look at. I mean, that's the reason why I'm eliminating alcohol for 3 months, just to see what improves. I mean, maybe there'll be some pretty drastic improvements. I know a lot of people actually, keep it in. They might have a glass of wine even every night, or they might have a couple of glasses of something on the weekends, and it's just not a problem for them. And, I think it's just about it's a combination of doing things that are work for your health. And, for some people, some things cause way more inflammation, cause way more gut issues, cause way more health issues than they do for other people. And I think particularly if you've got a history of a really high inflammatory diet, like consuming a lot of food that was causing a lot of inflammation, it can take a while for those things to heal. So it makes sense that you would eliminate as much as possible from your life that's causing inflammation for a long period of time, and then you could try reintroducing those things and see how they go. That's all I can suggest. Shelby Webb, I did keto after surgery because husband had to do the cooking. Now I'm carnivore again. That's interesting. Bonnie, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Bonnie's one of my sometimes moderators as well, and I appreciate you helping out. Copper's Kitchen. Melitza, I'm still voting for Anita for Empress of the World. Is there actually a vote going on? I didn't realize. I'm just kidding. But, if there was an award for best carnivore or keto channel, I would definitely vote for it. I don't know if there is one, but yeah, I would do it for sure. All right. So I'm, I don't often ask for this, but if you have a particular topic that you'd like to see me cover in the future, I still have to do an exercise video with some low impact exercises. I know that's on my list of to-dos. I do really enjoy talking a lot of the mindset stuff when I do the Dishwashing Philosopher, and I'm thinking about talking about addictions on the next one, and as it pertains to all kinds of addictions actually, and just the implications of those, how we manage them, what kind of addictions there are. And so that's a topic that I'd like to cover, because I think it does have a bearing on your overall health if you're having to manage some sort of addictions. And some addictions you've got to live with, some you can break completely, and some you can replace with healthier addictions. So that's something that I want to talk about in the future. But if you do have any ideas, that things you would like me to discuss on the channel, I'm always all ears. I'm always open for trying out new things as well, even if they don't land well. Doesn't really matter. But I prefer to get the feedback from you guys, so I know that we're talking about things that you'd like to hear about. Let me just run through the comments a little bit here. See if I missed anything. Oh, you just reminded me. I cooked a beautiful leg of lamb recently as well. I had a fresh delivery from the Conscious Farmer, and the Conscious Farmer is a local, it's direct to the consumer farm. So everything, all their livestock is grass-fed, grass-finished, the whole works. They don't use any pesticides on their pastures. And I had one delivery from them a few months ago, and I made a video about that, and I've just had another delivery. So it was a half leg of lamb. Sorry, not half leg of lamb, a half a lamb. So it was all the cuts that come in half in basically a lamb, but just half of that. And I did the lamb roast in the air fryer, and it was sensational. They're particularly fatty, the new lambs, and boy, it was good. I really enjoyed it. I managed, the leg of lamb weighed about 2.5 kilos, so around about 5.5 or 6 pounds, and it was good for about 4 meals for me. The disappointing part was that the kids didn't want to eat any of it. So that happens sometimes. The little kids, the bigger kids will eat it, no problems, but the little ones can be a bit fussy. Shelby Webb, addictions would be a great topic because a lot of us are carb addicts. Yeah, absolutely. I was one of those too. So yeah, I will definitely be covering that for a bit during the Dishwashing Philosopher segment. All right, guys, I'm out of all the things. So I'll just recap for you. These are the 4 pillars of health. Thank you to Kelly Hogan from My Zero Carb Life for these. So if you can manage all of those things well, then great health is assuredly yours. So making sure that you get enough sleep, and not just enough sleep, but enough good quality sleep. So try to control the variables that affect the quality of your sleep. If you're being woken up a lot, even if you're sleeping for a long time, let's say you're in bed for 9 hours, but you got woken up 10 times. Well, that's not going to be good quality sleep. Now, some things you can't do much about. So, for example, if you have a newborn, chances are you're going to get woken up a lot. When I had very small children, what I used to do was my wife April would manage, because she was breastfeeding, so she'd manage the wake-ups during the night. And as of 5:30, I was on the hook, so that then April would then sleep for the next 3 hours to get a good amount of solid sleep, and then I would get a bit of sleep during the evening. So that's how we manage that. Make sure you don't have much light. I use earplugs every night to eliminate noises. Try to make it as dark as possible. Get it as cold as possible. This is a big factor for deep sleep. If your body cannot get cold enough, then it's very hard for your brain to fall into deep sleep. As soon as you start lowering the temperature in your room, or you use something like a chili pad or a chili bed, which cools the mattress, you will find you'll get a dramatic improvement in your deep sleep. So do what you can to eliminate stress. Sometimes if you can't do anything about stress, you're going to actually be able to improve how well you respond to stress just by getting more sleep and moving more, getting more exercise. Obviously, nutrition, that's what we're all here about. It's very, very important that you get enough nutrition in your life and get some movement, get regular exercise, get outside, get gardening, just do something that has you move your body every day. Make it a regular thing, make it into a habit, and that'll help you improve your overall health as well. All right, I'll just grab these last few comments. Let's see. Bonnie, lamb sounds good, even though I just finished a New York strip steak. Steaks are so much more expensive for us here than ground beef and bacon and chicken. So I still find myself leaning towards those when I'm needing to feed a lot of people. I've got 2 teenage sons, and those guys can consume a lot of food. So I still don't often have steaks, but what I have been enjoying recently is steak bites. So just a cheap cut of steak, like a rump or a chuck steak, and then cut it into bites, air fry it for about 9 minutes. That's really good. I find that is way more palatable, and it tends to be more tender than just actually cooking the steak altogether. I don't know why that is, because I find that if I just air fry like a cheap cut of meat like that, like a rump or a chuck, it can sometimes be a bit, chewy. So don't know why cutting into pieces works better, but it does. D. Lee, thank you for the live. Yeah, appreciate that. Who else? A couple more people. Bonnie, Shelby Webb. I agree that addictions would be a great topic. A lot of people don't believe that carbs, sugar are addictive. Yeah, I didn't know I was a carb addict either, but I think most of us are. And that's how big food companies would prefer that we were as well. Move that body motion as lotion. That's great. I love that. All right, listen, I am going to wrap it up here, guys. I actually ate really early yesterday, so I'm starting to look forward to lunch. So I'm going to go for a walk and then get myself some food. I appreciate everybody tuning in. If you haven't already, do hit the thumbs up button if you enjoy my content. I can't wait to get those last couple of subscribers so we can get to 3,000. That's a pretty exciting milestone for the whole community. I'll have another video. I've got a couple more videos. I've got one where I made some beef jerky, which I've got to get out. That'll probably be a short. I've got the interview with Carnivore Ron, and we've got the Dishwashing Philosopher coming out a little bit later this week. In the meantime, have a great week, the rest of it, and I'll talk to you guys again all soon. Bye for now.